carving this gripping beast into a handle that is made out of moose antler. And right now, I've already gone through and obviously laid everything out, cut in my lines to make a nice little shelf to work to, and then I've gone through with a chisel, and I'm going to do right around this ear here. Just gone through, cut it out, so I have a deeper background, and once it's all cut out here, I was going through with a graving tool by hand, this little guy here, and just crisping up that line, making sure that I get a nice transition, nice kind of sharp transition between the knot and the background. It really is the thing that makes carving stand out, is having a nice defined line between your carving and your background.
How did you get the darker color in the background versus the foreground?
I used leather dye.
Ah, okay.
And went over it with leather dye, and then after it was all darkened, I went with I think I was using a 220 grit sandpaper.
Oh, so you've sanded over.
And then I sand down because you're not going to be able to white, once that dye hits the horn, it's going to darken it substantially. And that's not just going to wipe off, so I ended up removing the outer surface.
It's just leather dye.
Yep. It's pretty simple. Yeah, I got it from Tandy. Although there are some other ways, other dyes that you can use. I know that I've heard of people using like coffee to dye it. Some other more kind of natural ways of doing things. Not that coffee would be anything that would be considered a period dye.
Decaf?
Decaf, yeah.
You don't use decaf. You can have it.
Teas. But yeah, different teas. You can make dye from black walnut husks, or more yellow. That gives you a nice brown dye. You can make a dye from yellow onion skins. Obviously, that's going to give you yellow. So right now, I'm just cutting this shelf in.
That's a lot of removal.
Yeah, there's quite a bit to do. As I was saying earlier, that the larger amounts I go through and cut in with the hammer, and then switch to just using my hands here.
So is your plan, when you're finished, are you going to have the same kind of relief where it's dark in the back and light in the foreground?
Yeah, it's going to be, well, this is what we're going for right here. So I already carved this side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a lighter background.
And darker.
And darker, just kind of defining my lines. One of the different things here is I carved this with a turbo carver, and a rotary tool.
Is that how you got the stippling effect?
Yes, exactly.
So touching it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so with a rotary tool, it is really difficult to get a nice smooth background.
Yeah.
A nice smooth surface. So by using the gravers, you can see I've been coming in with the big flat and just cutting out any high points, and it gives you a really nice smooth surface.
Mm-hmm.
So by doing that, you can see I get this. This was gone over very lightly with sandpaper, but not too much removal done that way. So I've kind of been skipping back and forth with the graver and the chisel, just to kind of, so I'm not doing the same thing constantly. But one of the other really important parts about carving knots is going to be in a spot like where you have your overlaps.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you have a nice, crisp corners and those overlaps. If you end up, one thing that happens quite often in carving is that those will kind of be swept as opposed to angular. You'll get like a little rounded bit, and that really destroys the effect that you're going for. And also keeping consistency of your line when you change heights. It's so, for instance, eventually I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to cut this line in. Not to the depth that I have in my background, but about halfway down. And it's really easy to have this line kind of come out and change thickness, this line here to come out and change thickness where my lines cross and the heights change.
You can see it right there what you did.
Yep.
Do you keep track of your time when you're doing this? Are you putting, so you can figure out how to charge for this kind of work?
I try to. For this one, I didn't keep track too much of the time, just because I was making this specifically for. I don't have a specific knife that I was going to put this onto.
It's not a specific order. It's just
exactly. This is more just for this demonstration. Ew. But you can see that with this graver, it gives me a really good cut and then making a really nice angle right through here. Makes a nice, as I was saying earlier, a really sharp angle where the knot is meeting the background here.
Do you have an idea of what you feel your time is worth on an hourly basis for doing this kind of work? You never get enough.
Well, it gets complicated.
Yeah.
So, the fact that I own this business with 3 other individuals, things get complicated.
Yeah. I'm sure.
You're taping on the Canon, aren't you?
I believe so. Is there a little red dot on the screen out there?
It's still carving. Yes, there is.
There's a little red dot?
Yeah.
Sweet.
So I think we're covered for this.
Yeah.
See if we can edit something together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Moose. How hard?
That one is whitetail.
Whitetail.
Yeah, this piece is moose.
Oh, that is whitetail.
Yeah.
That's good to know, because I have a lot of whitetail. And I
You
haven't
carved
tried
a
to carve-
sampler?
Yeah. No, I have not.
What's the hardness? Any difference in the antlers?
They're very similar. I would say the moose carves a little bit better, I think. It's a little bit denser. But it polishes really nicely. I've really enjoyed working with the moose antler.
What's it? I haven't carved antler at all. What's it like compared to, say, maple in terms of hardness?
It's very different in the fact that you have less in the way of grain. There still is a grain to it.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
But it is not. It's not nearly as prevalent.
Yeah.
You can see. I mean, it does want to peel off. You can see the grain on that.
Yeah.
It's kind of stuck there. But it's very fine, and so it does carve pretty easily, and it's easy to cut against. As opposed to wood, which is a little bit more difficult to cut against the grain.
Yeah. But pretty, in terms of just the tooling, it's all the same.
Yeah, I'm using wood carving chisels and then just gravers. So it's all I'm using the same kind of tooling. But as I was saying before, you can do a lot of this with a rotary tool, and that goes I would say more quickly. I didn't want to because of the you're going to need to wear a respirator.
Yeah, I carve wood and I will rough it all out with the rotary tool and then go in and do the carefully define the edges and the way things pass under with chisels.
Yeah.
I just hate grinding or sanding bone or antler. It smells like
it's
the
awful.
worst day at the dentist.
Yeah.
you've ever had.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you can't beat the speed of the rotary tools.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I mean, like, Antler's beautiful to work with too. It's just butter, it's such a great sort of homogeneous surface compared to certain woods and stuff that it's really a pleasure to work with. There's nothing with the smell. It's just you're like, this has got to be killing me just based on how bad it smells.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the nice things about using the hand tools, like the carving tools. It's just, and you wouldn't, it didn't take me all that long to carve that little spot. And at this point, it's not perfect,
but it's
pretty
smooth,
close.
Right.
Yeah. And getting the nice smooth background is a much easier thing with the gravers and chisels.
Sure.
I always go with a stippled background when I'm using a rotary tool, because one, it gives a nice background, and two, what else are you going to do that's going to look good?
Yeah. you can't scrape it.
No. So.
That's cool. I hardly ever use any kind of chisels or whatever in any of the work that I do, but I always enjoy it when I do. But then again, it's always just sort of a for fun deal, and I'm never really trying to get it done.
Yeah.
And that's
that
the
makes a
difference
huge
for
difference.
me when I'm actually sort of in production mode. I can't. If I pick up a chisel, it's guaranteed to ruin whatever it touches.
So it's just a question of getting used to the tooling, you think, for you, or?
Yeah. I mean, I just hardly ever use it, so I don't have much practice. I'm not very good at it. But.
Yeah.
One of the, I do wood carving, and one of the tools that I really like that most people don't use is scrapers.
Yeah.
You ever see cabinet
Yeah. Oh
scrapers?
yeah. No, I've made a few bows, and there's a lot of scraping.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a whole series of little tiny scrapers, which is just, and I buy W1 tool steel stock. It's super cheap. You buy it like 1/16 by a quarter, and you just bend it over, harden it with your propane torch, and then grind it. You can sit in there, and you can just go in there and just it's faster,
Pull that right
faster, more precise, and there's no danger of skipping off. You just go in there and you just scrape it down. You get incredibly smooth finishes, all inside the little things.
Sure. The scraping leaves a really nice finish just on its own.
And I only rough in with I don't have the control with the rotary tools.
Right.
So often they just, you'll hog it just a little too much and the teeth bite in, go zing!
Yeah.
There goes 3 hours of work.
Yeah, and that happens with these guys too.
Yeah.
But
see, that's not nearly as bad a problem as you can.
no, it's easy to something like that, easy enough to smooth out.
Yeah.
But
Rotary tools do everything faster, including screw up. I've heard the air-powered 100,000 RPM tools don't jump as much, but I don't have $600 for a hand piece.
see, we have a turbo carver, which is, I don't think that it's moving quite that fast. But it's basically like a dental drill.
This one?
How's that different from just a Fordham?
Yeah, that is not the one that I'm talking about. But yeah, that moves a little bit more slowly. The other one is there's a compressor just around the corner there, and it's hooked up to that compressor. You can take a look at it, and it's just like a little pen, and it's got these little diamond bit
Jimmy
birds.
made that, right?
This is Peter.
Oh.
So this guy's kind of worn, but just like these little guys.
Yeah.
And then you get different shapes of them.
What's
And
the
they-
name?
It's a turbo carver,
Look at that. 'Cause I was talking,
and they you get down to like really small.
yeah, like jeweler's tools.
Yeah, you can see a couple of those little birds.
Yeah.
Well, not without my old man glasses.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
never
Well,
see
that's
those.
that's the cool part about it is that you can get these like really teeny little tips to work with.
I'll have to look for that because I was talking with Joe Zalaski,
Yeah.
who does all the carvings on the tomahawks, and he was saying that he uses these 100,000 RPM pneumatic hand pieces, and he said it's way easier because you just don't get as much skipping and running because it's moving so
The
fast
faster that you go, yeah.
that you can't ever get the teeth to bite in and run.
Yeah.
But they're like, I think they're like $500 to $600 a hand piece.
Yeah, it's hard to justify that. You
Yeah.
know? You know how much.
It's like, gee, maybe I'll just practice a little more with my Fordham since it's paid for.
Yeah.
Just tap on the furnace. I think you just took the top off out there.
Oh, did he?
Of the woots.
Oh, I
Yeah.
want to see that.
Nice.
Matrix.
Okay. Sounded like it was